welcome back. I am back with my current favorite book, The Gene Keys. I know I took y'all away from it for a second. I said we will be back, and I am excited to be back in my favorite book. Um, and I'm actually really excited about the gene key that we're focusing on today. I actually just read this one last week. Yeah, last weekend I read this one and I was like, oh my God, like this is resonating with me so deeply. And I want to talk to somebody about like all of this. So like I got to take this one to my channel. Like I'm not gonna treat the book as an oracle and like see what needs to be read. Like my spirit on a deep level is telling me like, no, yeah, yes, you resonate with it. Like it's right on time for you. However, like it's really about to be right on time for a lot of other people. So it took me about a week, but we are here and I know it's still gonna be right on time for y'all. So here we go. I'll get into it. So the 20th gene key number 20, is called the sacred So think of like that sound, like that original sound, right? I think it's supposed to be the first sound of the world. Don't have me lying, but I know it's like a sacred sound. So right? Anywho, that's what this one is called. The siddhi, like the highest level, is presence. The gift, that like middle point, is self-assurance, and the shadow is superficiality. So the shadow in itself really made me feel like, you know what? Superficiality, what a time to talk about that. I feel like we live in some very superficial times, and that can be interpreted on multiple levels. For example, superficial just in terms of people, right? Personalities. I feel like that's the first one I think of. Like personalities, people being fake. That was, I think, one of the first ones I was introduced to growing up. Like, oh, fake friends. You learned about that. But then superficiality now, in a sense of like, a lot of things are fake, and it's more acceptable as far as like, whether it's your body parts, whether it is the personas that you create on social media. It's okay to have like these superficial aspects of yourself, or even conduct a superficial life. Like it's just a thing, right? And whether that is a positive or negative, it's not about that. I mean, everything is polarity, so it's just they're opposite ends of the spectrum. So I'm gonna go into it. The 20th shadow, superficiality, and it's called the insect revolution. Interesting. And y'all know I only read some parts from it. I don't read the whole book. So just ride with me as I scroll around the lines that stood out to me. I'm sorry, my mind gets so like overstimulated, and what's going on up here is not making it through to y'all. It's fast, so I'll be having to pause and brace myself. Okay, so the 20th shadow in particular concerns how deeply consciousness is able to incarnate into a human form. This gene key is about the quantity of consciousness that can express itself through a human being. And in this sense, it is one of the most mystical of all the 64 gene keys. So that in itself might be strange for this, but I regularly find myself thinking about just looking at like this human form. Like we're all born into some sort of human shell form. And that in itself is like magic and interesting to me. And I find myself thinking about that. So to just hear them like come out like busting like that, like, whoa, like to incarnate into a human form. So that in itself, regardless of what religion, non-religion you follow, I think that most of us would agree that like there's something deeper. Like we aren't just this vessel right here, right? Like there's this soul, spirit, whatever you want to call it, but it's incarnated into this human form. So that's what we're talking about right there. And how deeply consciousness. So consciousness, I feel that is like the soul, the spirit, that like consciousness, the awareness of us is there. Okay. In the case of the 20th shadow, very little consciousness can express itself at all, so that we see a very watered down reflection of life's real potential coming through human beings operating at this frequency. So I know we talked about frequency before, and it's like the frequency that we're vibrating at. Once again, polarity. So there's like higher ends of that spectrum and there's lower ends of that spectrum. And it's saying that with this shadow of superficiality, like that is a watered down vibration, basically. Like that's low vibrational. I know we like to use that word a lot. of life's real potential coming through. So it's letting us know that we have a higher potential. Like we can be vibrating higher. There can be a higher frequency that's coming through this human form. And we're getting the watered down version when we're operating at that superficiality. Okay. The role of the shadow is to keep human beings just on the fringe of life without really plunging in. I'm going to read that again because it might have went over your head and I don't want it to. The role of this shadow is to keep human beings just on the fringe of life without really plunging in. How do I even want to word that? Okay. How many of y'all have ever felt like this can't be life? Like I'm just waking up, I'm just going with emotions. Like there has to be more than this. Like I didn't come here, I wasn't born to just do this, whether it's like wake up, go to work, rinse, repeat, like that cycle. I know a lot of us, I might even say all of us at some point or another in life have had that feeling. And it's telling you, you're right. Like there is more, there is more. And it's saying that, hold up. Okay, that we're not really plunging into life. So it's putting it back on us, okay? It's putting it back on us that we were right. You know, there is more to it, but it's on us to like get and experience that more. And it is the shadow of superficiality. So that's what you're experiencing. This aspect of our DNA is very ancient. So we all have, that's why I said I will go as far to say that all of us have or will at some point feel like that. And it's in our DNA. Like, it's in our DNA. I'm gonna leave that at that. Okay. And it's a very ancient part of our DNA. So all of us have it in us. So not just thinking about like from my mom, my dad DNA, but like universal consciousness, universal DNA. Like all of us have it in us. Okay. Most notably, this gene key is the main aspect that humans share with the world of insects and opens up some striking parallels between those worlds. So that is where, when I read the title, The Insect Revolution, that's why I guess it's called that. Like insects go through that as well. Didn't know that. Not the part that like overly resonated with me, but I did underline that part because I'm like, okay, where did the whole insect title come from? But that's where. So I'll stop there as far as the insect connection. But there's a fun fact. To live superficially means to live within the false illusions fabricated by the mind. So our mind, right, we create these personas and we start building them, I think they say within the 7 years of our life. So just like everything we're picking up from our environment, everything we're being told, everything we're being exposed to, we start to build our persona. And by age 7, it's like locked in. But they are saying that they are false illusions fabricated by our mind. The interesting thing about human is that sound. So I know it was interesting to me, and this is a little tangent, but they said that the reason why we do that when we don't know what we're thinking, why we do and that's like the first sound and everything, is that we're like trying to channel that information and bring it down. Don't know if that is true, but it just made me think of it because I'm saying and that is what this chapter is called. Okay, let me go back. Okay, the interesting thing about human beings is that we are a mixture of ancient instinctive animal awareness, our current rational mental awareness, and a future holistic spiritual awareness that is about to come fully online. And I love the way this book makes it so clear that it reminds me that phones, our technology is like based on us. So whether it's channeling, downloading, coming online, right? Something in us is coming online. It's like we are the true technology. Don't ever play yourself. Don't ever forget it. Like we can use this phone as a tool, but it's really an extension and it's based on who we are. So we are the true tech. Like we're the cold ones here. So don't let that have more power than you think you have in yourself. So it says like that's going to come fully online as future holistic spiritual awareness. Our nostalgia about the old days actually stems from a genetic memory inside us of a very early epoch in human evolution in which our spiritual awareness was fully developed, called the Eden period. So I thought that was interesting because I know with friends, family members, you might be like, oh, I miss the old days, like when we used to do X, Y, Z. But it's saying here that like that yearning of the old days is actually when we had our spiritual awareness fully developed. And I've heard that in different spiritual esoteric type videos and conversations where they talk about that concept of like, yeah, when you think you miss the old days, but you really miss when you used to be aware, when you used to truly know who you are, when you used to truly remember and execute yourself as this spiritual being. That's what you really miss. That's what your heart and your soul really misses. So that was kind of confirmation, like, oh, okay, like I see where they're going with that. The evolutionary phase that is now coming to an end is the superficial age. So here we plunge into that superficiality, when mankind appears to have moved away from nature. So think of superficial as anything that goes against nature. So that's why I mentioned like tech, I mentioned like body. So for example, I said we are the true technology, right? So the phone, that would be the artificial. That would be the superficial tech, the superficial. Whereas us, the human, we are the original, for lack of a better term. Or like the bodies, like if you're getting like, whether it's a fake butt or whatever, like the original is like the body that you came down here with, right? And the superficial would be the add-ons or whatever. Personality is the same concept, so I'm not going to go over that too deeply, but that's what it's talking about right there. Is now coming to an end is the superficial age, when mankind appears to have moved away from nature, so our true nature. Our current mental equipment simply prevents us from feeling one with life in the way that we once did. Evolution requires us to be superficial in order that we can complete this mental phase. So it's saying it's necessary, and like I was telling you guys, it's not good or bad, it's not negative or positive, like it's polarity, it's opposite ends of the spectrum. So it's saying that in order for us to complete this, like we have to experience the other side of the spectrum, right? That opposite end of the spectrum. So like if we had our true nature over here, now we have like this AI over here. We had like, you know, our real full natural bodies over here. Now we're gonna like play with them and add some like artificial stuff over here. So it's saying that in order for us to complete this phase, we have to experience both. We have to balance it out. Sorry. All of our scientific and religious cravings have arisen due to the inability of consciousness to move beyond the human brain. The mind prevents us from feeling one with life. So here I'm going to ask you to think about your most spiritual experience. Think about your most like spiritual, profound experience you've ever had to date. So whether it's been through like a near-death experience. Ooh, why did you start there? A near-death experience, whether it's been through like just some true like situation that you thought you would not overcome, and only God, source, the universe, you know, only something outside of you, some sort of higher power or consciousness could have like shifted that for you. Whether it's been through some herbs or psychedelics or something like shrooms, ayahuasca, like just think about that experience, right? I want you to put that in your brain. And think about, for me, my most spiritual experience, I'm not going to go into depth, but I'm thinking about mine, and it really showed me that I'm like so present. I have no concept of time. I have no concept of like all of these people around me. Like I'm so in here. And my mind was not interfering. My mind was not interrupting. And it's like when I tried to use my mind during that experience to try and like figure things out or use logic, like it wouldn't even work. Like it was so funny. I remember I was trying to look up something on my phone, and I looked, and all of a sudden the words just all like meshed together. Like you can't even read no more. Like in front of my eyes, I had temporarily lost my ability to read. And I was like, and I just laughed. I'm like, this is like the universe playing a little joke on me. 1, 2, 1, 2. And I saw that time. That's funny. That's another joke, because I saw that time on the clock during that experience. Okay, but yeah, so I'm telling y'all to do that because the mind, like your logical brain, cannot fathom like how that worked out, how that experience happened. And it just goes to support that the mind prevents us from feeling one with life. And I felt one with the source. I'm just gonna say the great mother nature. Like I really felt one with the source, but it wasn't due to what I was using up here, right? Okay, rather it is an absence of awareness. We are programmed to be incredibly busy on an individual level. I overly felt this because I feel like our generation, and it's probably deeper than our generation. I'm just focused on where I'm at right now. But we are like super duper programmed to be these like super duper busy people. And baby, busy and productivity are not one and the same. And even being productive all the time, like I feel like with anything, there has to be balance. So if you're always on go and always feel the need to be productive, I don't know if that's like a trauma response or it's just like the program. Like we're programmed to be that way, and we feel bad and guilty for like taking a break and just chilling, which will bring me to my next point that I really like. But anywho, yeah, we're programmed to be that way, so it's not even our fault. But I really hope for whomever is watching this video, I hope for everybody, honestly, that we wake up and we see that we don't always have to be on go. We don't always have to be productive. And a lot of that busy stuff is like busy work. It makes me think of the school setting, and it's like, kids know. If I was just, they like, okay, Miss Bankhead, I finished my work. I'm like, all right, I want you to go do page 24, problems 2 through 50. They know that's busy work. Like, this is not meaningful, but they're working, right? That's not productivity. It is busy work. And a lot of us just be so like busy, but like, what are you really doing? Like, is it productive, and have you taken a break and taken care of yourself? So are you just programmed to feel like, oh, you know, well, I need to be busy. I need to be doing something. I want to look busy. So I'm gonna keep going, but we are programmed to feel that way. So it talks about this concept of right action. This is what the Buddha referred to as right action. Right action occurs when the frequency of your DNA lifts you out of the shadow states, at which point all your activity emerges naturally and harmoniously. And I really wish that I knew this terminology, but I guess I learned it when I was supposed to learn it, because I was trying so hard last year into this year to explain to people what I meant by like, I no longer have goals. And even in my last video, I'm like, I don't know if that landed how you wanted it to land, but okay, whatever. This is what I was trying to say. Like, this concept, I guess, had spoken to my spirit and it had resonated with me, but I just didn't have the terminology. So if you are familiar, or even if you're not familiar with the concept of right action, I just introduced you to it if you weren't, occurs when the frequency of your DNA lifts you out of the shadow states. So I feel like the frequency of my DNA must have lifted me out of these shadow states. At which point all your activity emerges. My activity emerged naturally and harmoniously. And that's what I was explaining to people. Like, I don't feel like I just want to have these goals, and I just want to have these like to-do lists and checklists for every day. And like, this is where I'm trying to go, and this is what I'm trying to reach, and this is what I'm trying to do. Like, I really am self-aware enough to know that like, when I wake up today, like, I want to take care of my body naturally. Like, I don't need a goal. I don't need a number. I don't need like Trinity will, like a smart goal will go to the gym 5 times a week and do blah, 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 this, that, and the third. Like, I'm saying right? I no longer needed that. I'm just like, it's naturally in me to just kind of, okay, like, I care about my fitness. I care about my body. I'm going to go work out. Then when I get there, okay, I need to do some stuff. Like, okay, as far as my diet, I don't like how I'm feeling. I don't like how, I might be appearing. I want to feel better. I want to look better. So I'm going to change what I'm eating. And that's like in that day. And then like, I just keep doing it because I liked the result that it had. As far as, I'm trying to think. So diet, those are the first ones: diet, fitness, my spirituality. I'm naturally interested, and I naturally want to grow and evolve as a woman for the rest of my life. So I'm going to read stuff like this. I'm going to read what speaks to my spirit. Like, I literally go into bookstores, like half-price books, or sometimes I'll be on iBooks, whatever. And I can just go in there and I just kind of let my spirit guide me, like, what do you want to read about? And then I'll just read as I read. I don't have to read so many pages a day. I don't have to finish the book by X date. And having experimented with this for over a year now, I see that like, when I'm supposed to read something, when I'm supposed to get certain information, it's always right on time. Versus if I would have said, okay, I need to read this book, I'm going to set a goal, I need to read this book by January 20th, I need to read 25 pages a day and this, that, and the third. I understand if there was something tied to it, like if it was a course and I didn't have control over when it had to be read. But for my like personal life and development, I don't need that. And I've loved the way it's played out because it's like, I cannot stress enough. It'll be divine timing and I'll read something. I'll be like, oh my, like, I just went through this, or I'm going through this, and now this, and it's all connected, and I just saw this. And I'm making mad connections. If I would have just been trying to do it based on a certain goal, I know it would not have played out that way. So in that aspect as well, then as far as like business type, professional, career type goals, I think that was the scariest place for me. I'm like, wait, am I just going to be stuck here forever if I don't set some sort of, goal? But even that type of stuff, I'll just use career-wise. The best, I guess, career opportunities or like growth, those have all presented themselves to me in a natural capacity. It's not when I seek, it's not when I apply, it's not when I'm like, all right, I'm trying to do this by this. None of it. Like my very first teaching position, and I wanted to be a teacher. Like that was my desire. That's what my intention was. I went to school for that. Like I deeply wanted that at that time. So what I wanted at the bottom of my soul, like what I wanted most, I hadn't even applied. I hadn't graduated yet. And my name was recommended to someone, a principal, a Black woman from Chicago in San Antonio, Texas, right? I didn't know a soul out there, had moved there. Brand new principal, like young kid, beautiful, love her to death. And she had called and asked me to interview, and I'm like, okay. And I didn't know like how I was going to be able to live in San Antonio. I had just asked my grandmother, like, can y'all please just help support me a little bit longer, until I get on my feet and find a job? Because the plan was to come to Dallas. That didn't work out, whatever. Anywho, I loved my job. I got hired. Needless to say, got hired. Loved my job. Amazing relationship with the principal, with the school, with the kids. Like it was beautiful. It was divinely aligned. So I didn't go and look and set this goal and everything, right? It just worked out. Another position I had, I didn't apply. I guess she was like a mentor. Anywho, someone I was working with in my field, she was moving up. She asked me like, hey, we're looking for this. Like, you sure you don't want to apply? I think you should apply. And I was like, she's gonna ask me a couple of times. I guess I'll apply. I wasn't thinking about leaving and moving up yet. Bam, it worked out. So there's another situations in the works that similar scenario. Somebody reached out like, you sure you're not ready to go? So I didn't have to do anything but just show up and keep being me. Like that was it. So that philosophy, I've seen it work for me. So now I'm comfortable and confident that I don't have to set these goals. I just have to be present each and every day, because that's the only thing we're promised is the present moment, as cliche as that sounds. I just have to show up for my life and go with my intuition each day, and I'm gonna be all right. So connected back to what it says in the text. I told y'all that part really spoke to me. I knew I was gonna have some stuff to say about that. But my activity emerges naturally and harmoniously. So those situations emerge naturally and harmoniously in my day-to-day, what I need to do with me just valuing growth. It emerges naturally and harmoniously, and it all works out. Right action. So let's get into the specific shadows and what it looks like when you are in a repressive nature. It looks like absence. So withdrawing of consciousness from the body is actually a kind of mini death. I thought that was interesting. Life sporadically switches on and off according to the activity or inactivity. So this talks a lot about kind of daydreaming and how you can like be somewhere. I like to think about daydreaming in class, my experiences in education. And it's just like the kid is physically there, but you can tell they not tuned out and checked out completely. Like it's like, where did you just go? And even myself at times where I could be somewhere and somebody will be like, so yeah, what do you think? It's like, oh, like it's like, where And it makes me think of now where like, did somebody else do it? Like, everybody was feeling like that. Like, it was just this collective energy of just like, I'm not feeling this. Like, this, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to go. I don't want to do it. I don't want to go to work. And it's not even like lazy or sad. It's just like everybody just feel like I'm just chilling. And I saw a lot of people on TikTok. I saw people on Instagram, just conversation with friends. I'm like, dang, we all got this collective like feeling like what's going on. So it says, the gift of self-assurance comes into being when a human being first learns to let go of their thinking as the authority in making decisions. With self-assurance must come a profound surrender to life in every moment. As you begin to accept that life has its own plans and flow, you also begin to stop interfering with the process at a mental level. So it made me wonder, to make the connection, it made me wonder like, were we all just kind of feeling like this? Like, we knew like what we were investing our energy into outside of us, like it wasn't it no more. Like we just needed this divine relaxation. Like that's the kind of rest and break we needed. We needed to be able to accept that life has its own plans and flow and surrender to life in every moment. Like we just want to sit back and surrender. Yes, that's the best way to put it. Like, you know what? All of this other stuff I'm doing don't make sense. Like, let me just sit back and surrender to life and let it do what it's going to do. And I know the term surrender sounds passive, but it's different from just like sitting idly and like twiddling your thumbs. Like, all right, I'm gonna sit here and let life do what it's gonna do, and I ain't gonna do a thing. That's where I feel like if you don't have a certain level of self-awareness, if you don't know how to hear your intuition, you probably, this probably won't resonate with you. I'm not gonna say what anyone can and can't do, what anyone should and should not do. That's not my place. But I know, speaking from personal experience, if I was not self-aware and I couldn't hear my intuition and I tried to go this right action route and I tried to just surrender, I would be extremely anxious and I would not know what to do. I would not feel like I was in control. I would think I'm not being productive and I would think I'm being dumb. Like, that's the best way to put it. That's how I would have been feeling. So I was not there yet, and that's okay. But now being there, I'm like, this is what my spirit be wanting to do. And surrender is the term that got introduced, that like during a spiritual experience, that's the term that like really resonated. And that's the greatest message I got from it. Like surrender, like just, I surrender. Like y'all know in church, if you ever been to church, and it's like, I can recall people and like adults just be like, I surrender, right? But that's how like I was feeling, like I surrender. And I'm like, what am I surrendering to? And it's like, afterwards I learned I'm surrendering to like source, spirit. I'm surrendering to the universe, Mother Nature, God, if you will. Knowing that knowing I am, first of all, we are God. We are not like the divine intelligence, right? But we are built in her image, its image, whatever you want to call it. We have the ability to create things. We have consciousness, etc. Not going to go too deeply into that. But however, I trust myself. I trust that like the message will be communicated to me each day in a present moment of what I need to do, where I need to place my energy, and I can just surrender and trust that it'll all work out how it's supposed to work out, and it's going to be okay. And each day I'll know the steps I need to take. Like today I knew like, all right, you need to go make this video. And then I because I have my relationship with spirit and I know how we communicate with one another, like numerology, time, that's like a synchronicity type of thing where I can see like, okay, like that's confirming what I'm doing is, on point. My dreams, that's another way I'm communicated with. Like there's certain things I can wake up. Sometimes I like am reading, like I get information in my dreams. Sometimes it'll be words, it'll be song lyrics. Sometimes I like see certain visuals. So it's like these subtle ways that source communicates with me that lets me know sometimes what to do, or just sometimes it's confirmation that what I'm doing is on point. Sometimes it'll be through my interaction with certain people. And it'll be like, they'll be talking about, or they'll bring me a message relating to like something I was wondering about, or something I was confused about, or something that was like giving me some sort of angst. It'll be, all right, I'm watching this show, and then I'm reading my book, and then it's like I see this connection, like, oh shoot, all right, like I just saw that over here, I read that here, I'm supposed to do something with that. So it's a certain level of knowing yourself and being self-aware, and then having a relationship with source, and then kind of combining that and trusting your intuition and showing up each day, knowing that like you can surrender, you feel comfortable surrendering. So that's what that kind of made me think about this divine relaxation. Okay, where do we interfering with the process at the mental level? No technique can lead to this gift. Only life itself can show you how to let go. Wow, and I didn't even read that line, but I feel like that's what I just explained to y'all. Like, life itself had to show me how to surrender. I went through an experience. I started learning what the signs were. I started learning more about myself. And it brought me to this comfort, this level of peace, this level of knowing that I can let go now. Like, I be saying to myself, like, don't touch it. Like, that's like, you know how kids like, don't touch it, it's hot. And that's how I treat my life. Like, no, Trinity, stop, don't touch it. You trying to do too much, you trying to figure it out, you trying to logic your way through it, you trying to make it make sense. Don't touch it. Like, don't touch your life. Surrender. So it's like, surrender to it. Like, trust that it's not going to make sense to this up here, but that up there, that in there, they know what's going on. So you get out the way, go find some business, get out of grown folks' business, all right, and just surrender to what you're supposed to do. In that moment, like whatever you heard in that dream, whatever you saw, whatever like is coming, whatever download you're getting, whatever you're channeling, like just do it. Do it. And that's been my biggest battle. And me and my cousin both said we working right now. Is like when we get these downloads and our intuition tells us to do something and we sit on it. Why are you sitting on it? Who told you to sit on it? Who told you to not act? Like, you were giving a directive. Like, baby, do, go. And yeah, because this logic brain, this left brain, and I'm pointing to the right, this brain does not understand it. Then they want to interfere in grown folks' business, and then it's slowing up your results, your process of the stuff that your heart desires that you didn't ask for. You in your way. So I be getting out of my way, like, don't touch it. Like, that's not your business. Don't touch it. Surrender. You was told to do this. You was told to do that. Do that. And if you weren't told to do it, don't do that. Look, y'all, conversation done got so good. I done lost our page. Let me get us back on track. Or do I take that as a sign that, you know, I gave y'all what I needed to get y'all? I'm gonna give myself 10 seconds to find it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Spirit, did they get what they needed? Am I done? 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I guess that was it. Look, I take the messages. I surrender. I don't play like that no more. So I guess that's all y'all was supposed to get today. I guess y'all got what y'all needed. I'm glad that I got to share that with y'all. That was Gene Key 20, I believe. And that's crazy because it came back to me after I put the book down. So yeah, y'all got what y'all needed. I know y'all did. Like, Spirit told me y'all got what y'all needed for the day. So yes, surrender, divine relaxation, our shadow of superficiality. Like, I hope you balance it all out. I believe in y'all.